What's up, Fervent Servants? It's your girl, Darlyshia Menzies, CEO, founder, visionary of Fervent Servant, and we're back with another Fervent Servant video. If you have not joined us before, this channel is all about living with intention and serving with passion, and we're doing all that we can. I'm doing all that I can to help you investigate and invest in your personal and your spiritual growth. So welcome, welcome, welcome. The purpose of today's video is to talk about this 21-day fast that we just completed in my church, Church on the Rock in St. Peters, Missouri. It was phenomenal. Okay, if you've never fasted before, I want to encourage you to go ahead and give God a try. Give yourself an opportunity to go deeper, to go further in your faith and in your personal relationship with God. I'm actually recording this video because my brother Miles Staten, he encouraged me to do it. I watched his video and he was talking. He's like 20 years old, y'all. I watched his video on Facebook and I was like, you know what? That's a great idea. Why not share about our experience now that the fast is over? Because you know the Bible talk about if you walking around with a mopey face, if you walking around announcing to everybody, hey, I'm fasting. Look at me, I'm not eating. Look at me, I'm not doing X, Y, and Z. Then that's your reward. That's your clap. That's your applause right there in that moment. And so although we were doing a corporate fast, and you can share when you're doing a corporate fast, you know, we're after the fast now. So I can talk a little bit more about what I've been doing, what I haven't been doing, how the Lord has been moving and been speaking, been growing me and been challenging me, all the things. And so that's what I want to do in today's video. Okay, so let's start here. 21-day fast. It started on January 11th and it ended on January the 31st. Now, this church is the first church that I've gone to that has started it not on the 1st. Like, that is the coolest thing to me because it gives you a little time after the new year, after the holiday, to kind of get some things out of your system. You know what I'm saying? Let me turn this down. We got out of our system. We started on January 11th. We're definitely ready. Every Wednesday night, we have Wednesday night service. We had a time of prayer. So each of those Wednesdays, those 3 Wednesdays, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Not just praying for the things on our list, but praying for our government, our leadership, our world, our youth, just praying for God's hand and his breath and revival and things of that nature. So it definitely is all encompassing. Biblically, the definition of a fast is to abstain from food. I have to always share that because I know we fast social media and we fast sugar and we fast going out and we fast all these things, and that's fine. But that's actually more of a consecration, which is setting yourself aside, right? But hey, whatever way we can get closer to God, I'm all about it, okay? But biblically speaking, definition wise, a fast is abstaining from food. So for me, anytime I fast, there is an abstaining from food during a certain period of time, certain types of food, all those kind of things. So I'm actually going to walk you through what I did for this fast and then talk through some benefits of this fast and some fruit that I've already seen as a result of setting aside this time and abstaining from. Pastor Blunt did a sermon series called The Fruit of Fasting. And when I tell you, it was absolutely phenomenal. If you want those notes from me, let me know in the comments section. Send me your email address or something like that, your phone number, and I will send it to you because you have to have these notes. If you're planning on fasting, if you haven't fasted in a while, if you are a habitual faster, you still need these notes. Like, I've fasted so many times in my life since I was a young teenager, and these notes just completely rock my socks off. One thing that I want to mention here is that when you're fasting, you're removing something, i.e. food or whatever it is that you have chosen to consecrate from, and you're replacing it with time with God. You're replacing it with leaning into your relationship with God. You're replacing it with a spiritual discipline. You're replacing it with stillness, with faith, with belief, with prayer, with hope. You're replacing it with the things of God so that you can fill yourself up. The Bible tells us that man shall not live on bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. And so essentially when you're fasting, it's that bread alone that's been taken out, and it's the every word that has proceeded out of the mouth of God that's filling you up and feeding your spirit. Because you know, and maybe you don't know, but I'm going to tell you today that whatever you feed grows. Whatever you feed grows. So the negativity, the complaining, the cursing, that grows as you feed it. But when you learn how to implement self-discipline and you learn how to refrain from those things that do not add to your life, that are not life-giving, that are not fresh water, then you're going to get that. So just kind of keep that in mind. So the first thing I want to do is show you I have these big Post-it notes. If you don't have none of these at home, just go and grab you one off of Amazon. Grab you one from Office Max. Grab you one from Walmart, Target, wherever you shop. Just get you a stack of them at home, and you'll use it throughout the time that you live there. But they come in handy for times like these, because I want to see this. We also are in a sermon series right now. What is it? January, February. And we're talking about the power of positive imagination, and how imagination is actually a God-given thing. And if we can't see it in the physical, we don't see it in the spirit first. You know, the way that we call those things that be not as though they were. The way that we seek God and ask God for answers, and he shows us, this is what you're going to be doing. This is what I want you to create. This is who I want you to become. This is who I want you to forgive. This is who I want you to... At the way he shows us, the way he show us is how then we live it out. And so we have to see it first. So I took it upon myself to get some of this big paper and write it out, what I was believing for throughout this fast, for God to do throughout my year, my life really, but just this year. And then I put it on my wall. I put it on my wall in my bedroom, someplace where I can see it every day. If you're anything like me, you're probably good at putting things in your phone, and that's great. If that's a place that you know you're going to go to and see every day. But this time I stepped outside of my comfort zone, which is just in my phone, and wrote it out, put it on my wall so I can actually see it when I wake up, see it when I come out of the bathroom, see it when I walk in my room, see it before I go in my closet, all of those kinds of things. So I took some of this paper, I wrote out my restrictions. So again, when you're doing fast, you're taking away something and you're replacing it with something. So these are the things that I took away. So for me, I only ate between 12 and 8. Typically, I would not eat between hours like that. But this time around, because I know I'm a snacker and I know I'm a late night eater, I said, you're not going to feed your flesh in this way. So I only ate between 12 p.m., noon o'clock, and 8 p.m. And I cut it off after that. I did no sweets, no treats, no snacks, so no filler foods, nothing that wasn't really whole foods. I just stuck to the meats, the veggies, those kinds of things. I did no secular TV. What do I mean by that? If it wasn't about the Bible, if it wasn't about Christ, if it wasn't about whatever, I did not do that on my own. Unless, now this is different for me too, because I'm also believing for God to continue to enhance my marriage. I only did those things if it was with my husband. And a lot of the times he's busy at nighttime. He's a content creator as well. And so he's always doing something on his computer in his office. And so when we have time together, I really cherish that. So unless it was time with him watching something on TV, I was not watching TV. But I did start watching The Chosen. I don't know if you're familiar with that series, but it's like a Bible series talking about Bible stories. I did start watching that, and it just completely ministered to my heart. So that was definitely a great addition, right? And then I took up reading. This was not on my list, but instead of TV, I took up reading. So I was reading financial books. I was reading mindset books. I was reading spiritual books. I'm reading things that's going to feed me as a person. Because remember, Fervent Servant is all about personal and spiritual growth and development. I'm investigating where I am, what I want to do, what I'm not doing, and I'm replacing it by investing in myself. So I've read 5 books already in January. So that is way different than what I've ever done in life. So I'm continuing that habit as well. But I also decided to do a personal praise party. What does that mean? I took time intentionally throughout the day to stop what I was doing and give God glory for something that he has done in my life. I wanted to move my body. I wanted to clap my hands. I wanted to stomp my feet. I wanted to raise my voice. I wanted to do things with the body that God gave me and the mind that God gave me to acknowledge his faithfulness, to acknowledge his answering prayers, to acknowledge his presence in my life, his ability to do what only he can do. Take time 2 times a day to do that. Why do I do that? Because I don't want to be caught up in a cycle of complaining and wishing I had things and covetousness and jealousy and not being grateful. We know the key to God's gratitude. That's one of the keys to God's heart. Who has God been and what has God done before to even get me to this point? I never want to forget. That's one of the things that I valued about Old Testament is that they taught their kids growing up the acts and the works of God, the way that God loved them and rescued them and showed up for them and provided for them. And he said, tell this to the generations to come so that they will not forget. And that's how I want to live my life. When I have children, that's what I want to do. But while it's just me, my husband, and my dog, and all of you, that's what I'm going to continue to do. And then pray over my prayer points. So the next 2 sheets are actually my prayer points. I'm not going to let you read them all, but I sectioned them off by the areas of my life. So I wrote out my prayer points. Baby Menzie is always on the list. I hope you're praying for Baby Menzie. And then my second sheet for prayer points. So I wrote those things out and I pray over those. So that's how I organize myself, if you will, for this particular fast. And it really made a difference. I put all the days at the bottom of that third sheet and I marked them off as they came and as they happened. And this fast went by the fastest any fast has ever gone for me. It went by so fast. But anyways, so that's what I did. That was the structure of my fast, the confines of my fast. Again, some people, they fast social media, they fast TV, they fast sugar, they fast coffee, they fast whatever it is that they spend time doing, or the mindset that they have throughout regular lifetime. And they say, I'm putting that aside so I can lean into God, okay? Now, some of the results for my fast, I wrote them down so I can. One was commanding my mind. Throughout this fast, I worked out as well throughout the whole fast. It's a new habit I picked up. I've been working out, but I'm at the gym now. And I work out 3 to 4 times a week consistently. And I don't slack up on that. If I miss a day, I make it up. So one thing that throughout this fast, I believe God has done for me is to help me command my mind, is to train my thoughts to focus on what matters. A lot of the times I'll get distracted or discouraged because I've seen something, I've heard something. I go look in the mirror and I see this gut, whatever it is, in whatever area of my life, and it just feels so overwhelming. But the Bible tells me that I can speak to that mountain and command it to be cast into the sea. And so I have done that. I am learning because I'm continuously a work in progress, to command my mind and to command the situation in front of me to be lifted and be cast into the sea. And so throughout this fast, I was very focused, very, very focused on what I wanted to do, what I didn't want to participate in, and how I wanted my mind to be thinking throughout the day. So I speak out loud to myself. I talk to myself throughout the day too, and I say, nope, you don't want that. Nope, you don't need that. Pass right by that. You're doing a great job. Make sure you're what I've been talking about myself about not wasting time. That's one thing I've been working on this year. I said, you're working on your transitions, Darlyshia. You're working on your transitions. Don't sit in this car for an extra 5 minutes before you go in the house or you can go in the store. Okay, get off of social media now you need to go and do this for 30 minutes. Like, I tell myself, and then I go up and do it, or I set the timer and I shift. So that's one thing throughout this fast, is the mindfulness, me commanding my mind. Here's the thing you need to know, is your mind isn't just going to do what you want it to do just because you want it to do it. You have to make it do it. You have to command it to do it. You have to instruct it to do it. And that is just something that you have to do. So that's something that I did. Number 2, a benefit of this fast, a fruit of this fast for me has been stillness with God. Like removing those things that I know I spend hours and hours doing. And one thing I could have done better was less social media. I could have done way less social media, but I be on that thing. So I'm not making an excuse. I'm just letting you know where I am, okay? I'm a scroller, but I also engage with people's posts, but we're not on that no more. So anyway, stillness with God. When I remove the TV watching, the hours binge watching, which ain't bad, but I do it. And when I remove the social media time, which I have done, or I remove whatever it is, I gained time to be able to pray, which I actually should have done more prayer. I prayed, but I feel like I could have gone deeper. Let me be honest about me. I feel like I could have gone deeper and just set aside even more time. I'm the type that I do set aside time, but I talk to God throughout the day. But I love times when I can just literally sit and just go. Like just sit and meditate, sit and talk, sit and listen, sit and sing. Like I could have done more of that. However, I did still have stillness with God, time with God, asking God, what is your idea on this? What would you like me to do? God, can you direct and lead me by your Holy Spirit? What is the next step for me here? How do I handle this situation? I did that. So stillness with God and actually hearing his voice. That's one thing through this fast. Last year I went through a depression. We're going to talk about that in another video. Last year I went through a depression for like a full half a year. And it was one of the most difficult times. I'm getting emotional. It was one of the most difficult times I'd ever experienced in my life, emotionally and mentally. Outside was still popping and banging, but mentally and emotionally, it was just a lot. I was dealing with a lot, and I felt the presence of God, but I did not feel as close to God as I wanted to feel, and I did not feel my full self. I was not operating out of my full self. And so during this fast, I'm like, God, he told me that this is my year to recover all. That's my word of the year. I have several, but that's the overarching theme, is to recover all. And one of those areas to recover all is joy. And another area to recover all is my oneness with God, my oneness with God. And so throughout this fast, I recovered that. I recovered that time to hear him, to sit with him, to sup with him, to fellowship with my Father, with my King. And so that was a benefit of this fast. It reignited me. It drew me back closer to him and made me back one with him in a way that I felt like I wasn't before, even though I know I was. Number 3, self-control. Self-control is a fruit of the Spirit. And you know, when you are giving up something, it takes self-control to stick to it. So to not give in, to not fall and slip and do all the things that we sometimes do when we're trying to reserve ourselves from something. But I did not slip up. I did not eat outside of those hours. I did not do the TV. I did, what I said I wanted to do, I did it. And I'm so grateful to God, because that lets me know that I can tell my body no, and I get to make the decisions for myself and not my hunger or my desires or my temptations or whatever it is. The enemy had no control. He had literally no control over my decisions throughout this fast. Number 4 was much more with less. So with less food, with less time on the TV, with less time doing this and that, I gained more of my own time. I gained more of autonomy and decision making for myself. I gained more peace. I gained more rest. I gained more strength. I gained more discipline, which is number 5 on my list, is discipline. Like the level of discipline that I was able to implement, accomplish, being around people at work, being around outings and food, and just, you know how it always is when you're trying to fast. They start bringing in stuff that they never brought before. They start handing out free stuff. They start inviting you to all these places. That always happens. That's just the enemy. It's a temptation. Temptation comes when you're trying to make a decision to not. Temptation comes when you're trying to make a decision to be better. And so our job is to resist temptation. The Bible says, resist the devil and he will flee. And so throughout this fast, he was fleeing like a mug because I wasn't giving in. I was sticking to what I said, and I did. And I'm so proud of myself for that. Okay, so what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is weight loss. Ha! So with that depression, I gained 20 pounds. I gained 20 pounds going through my depression last year. And I'm like, get it off. We're getting it off. And so I've been a worker outer, but I'm amping it up, baby. And I'm consistent. I'm sweating. I'm lifting. I'm doing all those things. And so far, I have lost 9 pounds. I have lost 9 pounds since Jan 1. Because I told you I've been starting already, but when I cut out the late night eating, I cut out all the snacking and all that kind of stuff, 9 pounds, and I'm sure several inches. I haven't weighed myself, but my clothes are fitting me differently. So that's always definitely a benefit. I read a book throughout that time called The Blood Type Diet, and it's just talking about the 4 different blood types and foods that complement that blood type. And what I learned about my blood type is completely opposite from how I actually eat. So that's another thing that I did, was start eating according to that blood type so I can see. I'm going to try it out so I can see if it's making a difference. And it's hard for me to do because it is opposite of how I usually eat, but I'm doing it and I'm proud of myself for that. So that's another thing that I gained throughout this time of prayer and fasting. Okay, and then the last thing it's not the last thing, but one of the things which we kind of talked about already is peace of mind and joy, and like gaining my spirit, gaining my personality, gaining my vibrancy back. I needed that. I needed that for me. Y'all probably didn't notice the difference, but I did. And so for me, that was just cherry on the top. So some tangible things outside of the weight loss, y'all. One of my areas on this was increase in my real estate business. This year, my goal is to work with 7 homeowners that want to sell their home, and 10 buyers that want to buy a home this year. And I pray for a referral-based business. I don't want to have to go out there and purchase leads. I don't want to have to go out there and do a ton of lead generation. It's a part of the job, and I'll do it some of it. But my goal and my desire and my prayer to God is that my business be a referral-based business. That you, the people who know me, who like me, who trust me, who have been around me, who know I offer quality, that you would tell your people about my business as a real estate agent and refer me to them, and then they want to work with me. That's what I want my business to be. Majority of my business, that's what I want it to be. And so, y'all, 4 clients came throughout January 11th through the 31st. 4. I've never had that happen. 4 people. 4 were referred to me throughout this fast. People called me up 2 times on the phone and said, I was thinking about sending them to somebody else, but your face popped up in my mind, and I said, you should work with her. When I tell you, 4. Another agent even sent me a client. Nobody but God. Nobody but God. These times of prayer and fasting, effective. And this is not me. Some people say, well, fasting, is that manipulating God? This is not manipulating God. This is deciding to hear him, deciding to follow him, deciding to obey him. This is deciding to become one with God. And this is what I've done. 4 clients. And I'm excited because this fast is for the entire year. And I got big goals. I'm not sharing all the financial goals that I got with you for real estate and then my personal life and the debt cancellation that's about to happen. But just know it's there, and I believe God. Okay? Strategy. God has given me strategy. When I tell you, I have written down some very specific things to do, not only in my real estate business, but in my home, in my life, in this ministry, Fervent Servant. This is how you're getting these 2 videos a month. I've implemented strategy because these are visions that God has given me, order and structure and confines that he has given me to excel this year. And not just this year, but this is it's another foundation of where I'm going, where I'm headed. So that's also something that God did throughout this fast. And then just wisdom and clarity, like not being in this place of, I don't know what's going on and I don't know which way to go and I don't know what to do. No, very clear answers. God will give you clear answers. He's a God that answers prayer. He's a God that gives instruction. He's a God that wants you to excel, to be free, to win, and to have all that he promised you. So why wouldn't he give us instruction for things that he desires for us? You understand what I'm saying? So wisdom and clarity came as a result of this fast. That's not all, but that's all I'm gonna share with you today. So I'm letting you know the effectiveness of prayer and fasting, and everybody's fast is different, and everybody's prayers to God is different, and that's beautiful. I want you to know you don't have to do things the way that I do things. You don't. You don't have to do things the way that I do things. But you can still lean into God and let him have his way in your life, and you can become best friends, intimate relationship with the Holy Spirit, and let him lead, direct, and guide you to implement the fruit of the Spirit, and to walk and live with self-discipline, self-control, and just have an abundance. You know what I'm saying? So I hope that this video has been helpful for you. You know, my prayer is that you guys are always live with intention, serve with passion, that you would allow God to be God in your life, and that you would allow yourself to be his child. Many times the things that we see in the physical, we like, But God can, God will, God has, God loves. And I want you to get to know him for yourself on a greater, deeper, more intimate level if you don't already. And just let God have his way, okay? I love you guys so much. As always, stay fervent.